So what often happens is our nervous system is on hypervigilance all the time for high achievers, but on the outside, they look good. And so we really have to work on learning how to calm our own nervous system so we are not hypervigilant all the time or on edge or waiting and looking for danger, but presenting on the outside as if we're calm.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Darren Well podcast. I'm so glad to have you here today. So my guest today is Diane McDowell. Diane, she's a therapist, she's a relationship coach, and she's an emotional safety expert, as well as the creator of the Brain to Heart Code. So we'll talk more about that today. But Diane, she also helps high achievers break out of their nervous system reflexes that makes them struggle with communication, connecting, and vulnerability. And so when those things come up, she helps people to feel calmer with clarity and self-trust. And she blends her clinical work with her lived experiences throughout her work. I'm excited for you to hear more about how Diane helps us to learn to overcome burnout and create emotional safety from the inside out. Again, thank you, Diane, for joining the Darren Well podcast. So glad to have you.
Thank you, Rita. I am so excited to be here.
Yay! So when you think about the Brain to Heart Code, what inspired you to start that?
So I created the Brain to Heart Code because I saw in myself how, as a therapist, I knew all the communication skills, I knew all the tools of grounding yourself, and I still would find myself in my relationship saying things that I didn't like, not showing up in a way I was proud, getting hijacked is what I call it, and not being able to walk away from conversations proud of how I handled it. So what I started learning was studying myself and what needed to happen different for me to be able to use the skills I have.
So you got inspired by the clients that you work with to start to help that?
Yeah. So what I started noticing is I had this kind of hypocrite feeling when I was working with clients, but I knew I was doing it myself. I was like, I get hijacked. I say things that I'm not proud of. And I was like, I don't really feel like I can sit here and give other people advice when I'm still doing this. So I really had to work on, I need to figure out what's happening with me, and then I can use it other places.
Wow. I love the personal connection because if we're struggling with it, everybody else is probably struggling with those pieces too. So, and you shared something about your personal journey, but I thought it would be helpful to kind of understand too the background. So you talked about the growing up in a religious cult. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So from 0 to 14, I was actually born there. And until 14, we left. This tells my age, but in 86, April 28th, 1886, we left and I was 14 years old. And I found myself in so many ways in culture shock with relationships. We grew up, there was 26 of us on the farm together, kids, and then parents. And the guy who ran it thought he was God. He had a mental health condition. He truly believed he was God. And we were isolated. We were surrounded by Amish. So it was considered acceptable in that kind of area because it was in Elverson, Pennsylvania. And when we left, I had such culture shock for many reasons. I had no idea what healthy relationships look like, healthy friendships look like, because we grew up with the same people and never really left the property. And then I also had dyslexia, so I didn't know how to read at 14. So they placed me in 7th grade. And all of this kind of taught me, I knew I wasn't good at books. I was never at that age smart in books. But so I really think I excelled in people. And I really started studying people and people pleasing and being loved by everybody because I couldn't do the book work. And so that became kind of my direction. I became everybody's little therapist and helper and emotional things. And that really led me into my career as a therapist.
Wow. And so that kind of leaned into this emotional safety piece too.
Yeah. Because I didn't, as most of us really didn't, a lot of us didn't grow up with a lot of emotional safety. I didn't have any emotional safety. The kids that we grew up with, we all had each other's back growing up. But then when it fell apart, I didn't have anyone who had my back. I didn't know what emotional safety felt like.
Ooh, before we jump into the next question, maybe you could break that down of like what that should look like in a healthy way. when it's done correctly, like what emotional safety should be?
So, emotional safety is from the inside. And
Mm,
a lot of times with emotional safety, we think other people have to change. So, if he wouldn't say that or do that, or she wouldn't do that, or my boss wouldn't be that way, then I would feel emotionally safe. So we outsource it to other people. As long as they behave a certain way, I can feel safe. But that's extremely dangerous. And that's what I started learning was everybody around me. I was like, as long as my friends behave this way and show up the way I think they should, and my partner shows up the way I think he should, then I can feel good. I can feel emotionally safe. But when they don't, I don't feel emotionally safe. So I had to learn to create it from the inside. I had to stop counting on my partner to behave the way I thought they should and start creating, I call it the safety switch. So you learn to turn on your own safety switch. And
mm,
for most people, it's a lot of the same things. It's learning to figure out where you can stay, where I call it the wise watcher, where you can stay in the middle and watch it and not jump in the pit with all the emotional stuff.
that's good. That's good. Thank you for breaking that down because I think we crave it, but we don't know sometimes what it is and
Yeah.
why it feels off in different relationships. So you talked about this hijack. So maybe break down what exactly is brain hijack and how does it like sabotage in the background, like run in the background any relationship that we have, including with others, but also including with ourselves. So what is brain hijack and how does it impact our relationships?
Okay. So the way I teach things is our most important earthly relationship is with ourself. And so it's about building your relationship with yourself. And what the brain hijack looks like, if you think about back in the day when we first were humans, we needed community to survive. Like literally, if our community exiled us, we would die. So our brain still tells us that. So when rejection is a possibility, our brain says, danger, danger, you might die. And so we start reacting as if we're going to die. So that's the hijack when our natural human reflex takes over and tells us we're going to die, and we react in that direction. So the goal with the brain to heart code is to not allow that to happen.
So like to interrupt it or prevent it?
It's 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 to learn how it's to prevent it but also interrupt it. So
Mm,
the goal is never to, when we talk about emotional safety and then the nervous system, our nervous system is going to get escalated. It's going to be hypervigilant. So the goal isn't to not get hypervigilant or escalated. The goal is to be able to turn it back down. So I use the example of a dimmer switch on a light. You can turn it up or down. We want to be able to do that. We want to be able to turn it down when we do get hijacked or when we do feel like we're hyper vigilant and everything feels too intense.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's think about that. So thank you for breaking that down, like what brain hijack is. Let's think about it from the perspective of high achievers. So many times they may feel off. So they feel like they're doing all the right things,
Yeah.
but they still feel off. And so can you explain like why that is?
Yeah. So a lot of times for a lot of high achievers, we try to control the environment. We try to um, fix and manipulate and control the environment. But what I'm talking about is not environmental. This is a nervous system. So a lot of times people who are high achiever, or I call them high responsibilities, because a lot of times they take on a lot of responsibility too. But high responsibility or high achievers, a lot of times they look great on the outside. They look like they have it all together on the outside, but on the inside, like I have a client I just took on recently who was talking about she's having hair loss. And on the outside, she looks like she has it all together, but it's stress related hair loss. So, what often happens is our nervous system is on hypervigilance all the time for high achievers, but on the outside, they look good. And so, we really have to work on learning how to calm our own nervous system so we are not hypervigilant all the time or on edge or waiting and looking for danger, but presenting on the outside as if we're calm.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. And I can definitely see that with many people that are high achievers. They look confident on the outside, kind of like they call it the imposter syndrome. Look confident on the outside, but internally, as you said, the stress shows up in many different ways in their body, and so the nervous system. So let's maybe think about like the belief systems that's kind of running in the background. So the belief systems of maybe I'm broken or I'm weak or I'm too much that get in the way personally and professionally of showing up as their true self.
So, first of all, that's extremely damaging. So, if you think about, and this is cognitive behavioral therapy, where the thought creates our feeling, which gives us our action, which ultimately gives us our result. And so the thought, I'm not enough, or I'm too much, or I'm a mess, or even people used to joke a lot, I'm a hot mess. And I'd be like, don't even say that. That's not good for your nervous system. It's not good for your brain to even joke it.
Your words have power.
Yes. Yes. So, and I want to kind of differentiate too. There's been a lot of talk about mindset, and I love mindset. I think it's important, but that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is nervous system. Mindset is thoughts. I'm talking about learning how to calm your nervous system, which is about getting into your body. And that's why I called it brain to heart code, because you're getting into your nervous system, you're getting into your body. Our stomach has our gut, our stomach has an intuition, our heart has an intuition, and learning how to connect and talk to those and reground ourselves in our body. So it is not staying in your head and changing the way you think. That is useful, but that's not what I'm talking about here.
I'm just wondering how those negative beliefs also drive this behavior and interaction with how we show up.
So if you think a thought like I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'm a mess, then what does that feel like? In a sensation in our body, it feels heavy, it feels dark, it feels frustrating.
Feels defeating.
Yes. Yes. So when you say something that makes you feel defeated, how are you going to show up? Not very confident, not very comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So
That's good.
that's why what we think about ourselves is so important. But what I want to suggest is not just changing the way we think about ourselves, but we actually check in with our body. What's happening that I'm thinking the thought that I'm too much?
Yeah. Where does that go? So when we're checking in with our body, like where does that go?
So
Like
what I
how
teach
do we learn to do that?
so what I teach people is to start with something pretty simple, which is, does my body feel heavy or light? Does it feel open or closed? Does it feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Is there tightness or pain? So first we just want to notice, am I feeling closed? Am I literally crossing my body and closing it off? If so, can I open my body? And then if I'm feeling heavy, can I breathe in air and lighten it? So it's just noticing, do I feel heavy, light, open, closed? And then I take it a little farther once people get comfortable with even just noticing that. And then we'll go to, where do you feel tension? What does it feel like? Sharp or a dull hurt? Do you feel hot or cold? So it's really learning how to get back in touch with our body, because most of us don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So learning to tune into your body.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Do you think high achievers outsource their self-worth when they're struggling with
I do in that, and most of us do, but high achievers especially, because we look at other people for our validation. So a lot of times what we want is other people to think good about us so that we can feel good about us. So I'm in a way manipulating so that I can feel better. So I do things to get you to think good about me so that I can feel like I'm good enough. And what I actually teach is that we're 100% lovable, valuable, and worthy because we're human. We didn't get to choose that. We were born that way. And so there's nothing you can do to make yourself more lovable, valuable, and worthy. And there's nothing that you can do to make yourself less lovable, valuable, and worthy. You just are 100%. So somebody else's ability to see you that way is a reflection of them, not a reflection of you.
ooh, that's golden, Diane. That is golden. Yeah. Because I think we try to earn our worth. We try to do all these different things, which makes us feel so dysregulated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As we start to wrap up, what are some mindset strategies that people can do? I know you've shared a few. So, like belief laddering, meaning unhooking, fact versus story thinking. Like, what are some, you already did the LVW anchoring. So, what are some ways that mindset strategies that people can use today to kind of move the needle forward?
So some of the tools, and I usually do these after I do grounding, like some really good nervous system, getting into your body stuff. And then we move into the mindset. And some of the things that we can do to clean up, what I teach people is everything in our brain is either fact or drama. And we want to clean it up. So listing out facts, literally writing them down. And a fact is provable and everybody would agree. Everything else is drama. And people will be like, no, it's a fact. But if you can't actually say they said word for word exactly this, then it's not a fact, it's your interpretation. So we add meaning to everything that's said. I use the example, if I were to take my glasses outside and smear some dog poop on them and walk around, I would have dog poop glasses. I would see through dog poop glasses. And that's what we do is we see through these negative lenses all day because we're expecting someone to say something hurtful. So instead of adding meaning, list out facts, and everything else is drama. So if it is not in the facts list, it's drama. So that's one thing to do to clean up the brain. The other thing is the thought ladder. I think this is so powerful. If you think about, I cannot go from I hate my body to I love my body. That's too big a jump. It's called a cognitive, can't think what it's cognitive something.
Dissonance.
But we can't, dissonance, yes. We can't jump. So we need ladders to get us there. So the first thing is, I have a body. It's neutral. I have a body with working parts. I like that my legs get me around. And so we have to stair step up because a lot of times when people say positive affirmations, they don't work because we don't believe it. We have to be able to believe it. So a positive affirmation to change us has to be believable and make us feel better. And so don't try to jump from negative to positive. Take it step by step to neutral and then from neutral to positive. Make it believable and make you feel better.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing some different mindset strategies so people can learn to kind of apply these things today. So, as we wrap up, one quote that I love that you had shared as we were preparing for this episode is words are neutral until you define them. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, and I love this because people will tell me that's not true, and I'm like, okay, but if you play along and pretend it's true, what would it be like? And here's the thing: is words really are neutral? Words are words. Yes, they have a tone. Yes, they have a body language, and we have micro expressions that we have around our eyes and mouth that give us information. But for our own mental health, if we start seeing words as neutral, they're just words. I get to decide what I make them mean to me. I get the power to make them have influence to change my mood or not. So they said they don't like my hair. Let's just say someone said they don't like my hair. They don't like my hair. That's it. It's neutral. I get to decide if I'm going to make it mean I should change my hair or they don't like me or I'm not good enough.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I love that I get to choose. So, the meaning that you decide that you want to make it as far as apply to you, to your identity, your value, your sense of worth. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Any words
And
of wisdom?
remembering I'm always 100% lovable, valuable, and worthy. Just because they don't like it, that's a reflection of them. Has nothing to do with me. Go ahead.
Zero. No, that's good. That's good. I love that acronym. Any other words of wisdom before we wrap up today?
I think the most powerful thing to me that I would like everybody to know is you get to choose you. Don't base
Yes.
you. Don't base you off of other people. You choose you. And I would add two to that. Get rid of the shoulds, ought tos, and have tos and go to I choose to or I choose not to.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Shoulds are so much pressure inducing, anxiety inducing, and nervous system hijacking.
Yes. It breaks our relationship with ourselves because when we say I should work out and then I don't, then I lose faith in me versus I choosing to or I'm choosing not to.
Because you know what's best for you in that moment
Yeah.
as far as time, priorities, your body's mental capacity. So
Yeah.
all those pieces, learning to tune into your body. I love it. I love it, Diane. Awesome. Well, if people want to go deeper than all the strategies that you shared today, how can they connect with you, Diane?
So my handle is Emotional Safety Co. And then my website, emotionalsafetyco.com. And on emotionalsafetyco.com, there is a free resource, and you can take a hijack quiz, 20-minute mini course on how to end the hijack, and then also the truth and lies in relationships.
Sweet. Awesome. Awesome. Nice freebies as well. I love that. I love that. Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Diane. You've been a pleasure to just learn more about like ways to kind of tune into your body, to ground yourself, and also kind of rethink your choice with your thoughts. And so the power of choice with thoughts. I love that. That's powerful. So again, thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you, Rita. It was a wonderful conversation.
Yay, thank you. All right, wellness friends, that is all for today. Thank you so much for stopping by the Darren Well podcast. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe wherever you're hearing this episode. Wishing you a fabulous day, my dear. Until next time, keep living, keep loving, and keep Darren well. Take care, guys. God bless.